Is it perfect? Wait up. I have to come live too. Wait, I'm about to connect. It's connecting in 3, 2, 1. It's connected. Right there. Yo, put me on the screen. Miss Dunford, put me on the screen there. Oh, Canada, our home and native land. Hola, señoritas. Clack, 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 clack. Oh, my bad. Wait, is the mic in right now? Are you guys ready? Go back to your classes, please. Thank you. You guys are too hurt. Yep, thank you. Go back to your class. People, that girl right there in the black hoodie. Keep walking. Yo, play that song. Yo, Justin. 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 Turn the thing on. We're about to do it. Yo, Avi Joe, turn it on. Yeah. Yo, turn it on. Yo, you had one job. Yo, pause it then. Miss Justin, go turn it on from there. Yo, pause it. What are you guys doing? Yeah. All right, ready? Are you guys ready? Is it on? Okay, play it.
ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਅੰਨ ਪਾਣੀ ਲੰਘਦਾ ਨਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਗਲ ਚੋਂ ਸੜਕਾਂ ਤੇ ਅੱਖ ਤੇਰੀ ਖੜੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਐ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਆ ਕੇ ਹਾਲ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੁੱਛਦਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਤੇ ਖਮਾਰੀ ਕੀਦੀ ਚੜੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਐ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਆ ਕੇ ਹਾਲ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੁੱਛਦਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਤੇ ਖਮਾਰੀ ਕੀਦੀ ਚੜੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਐ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਖੁੱਲ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿ ਨਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਰੰਗ ਉੱਡਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਗੁੱਸੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਡਰੀਦੇ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ Desi Roots ਉਹ ਕੰਧਾਂ ਵੱਲ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਜਵਾਨੀ ਕੱਢਦੀ ਟਿੱਕਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਦਾ ਵੀ ਚਿੱਤ ਨਾ ਕਰੇ ਆਂਡਣਾ ਗਵਾਂਡਣਾ ਸਲਾਹ ਦਿੰਦੀਆਂ ਚੰਦਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਰਹਿਣ ਲੱਗ ਜਾ ਪਰੇ ਆਂਡਣਾ ਗਵਾਂਡਣਾ ਸਲਾਹ ਦਿੰਦੀਆਂ ਚੰਦਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਰਹਿਣ ਲੱਗ ਜਾ ਪਰੇ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਭੁੱਲ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਜੱਟਾ ਪੱਕਿਆ ਅਸੂਲ ਤੇਰੀ ਨਾਰ ਖਰੀਦੇ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ
Is it next one? Is the other group not gonna play? Okay. Yo, put the song back to the starting, but don't play it. So like, just make it ready for the next time we're gonna play it. Okay? You got it? Like, just reset it.
Yo.
Yeah. You don't need to play it though. Hanji, bhai rap. Sokman, are you gonna record or? No, cause are you gonna be doing it over there? Are you gonna be sitting over there the whole time? Switch jobs with me. Kanjo, get off Snapchat. Stop sending me Snapchats, bud. Bud. Mr. Dunford. Mr. Dunford. Mr. Dunford. Are we still on live or whatever? Are we still live streaming?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Make sure everything's set up right. Last check. Mr. Dunford. Mr. Dunford. Can you do the background really quick? Let's just check if it's good. Turn that mic on. Can you turn that mic on? Check. Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Justin. Justin. Avijo. Quickly just go to like a random, just like make some sound on the laptop so we can check if it's on and everything's going good. Kanjo, what are you doing right now? Kanjo, what are you doing? Yo, you aren't gone to the gym yet. Go back. Pavraj, go back. You're not supposed to be here. Should I tell your teacher? Nothing.
What do you want?
Nothing.
Why are you calling me?
I didn't. I said, what are you doing? Yo, we don't need Grammarly right now. Avijo. Okay, quickly, just go to the song and play it for like half a second. Whichever song. Check, check, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4, check. Check, 1, 2, 3. All right, no problem. When are they walking in? Yeah. Okay. Letty, Letty. Everything's noted down, right? What? What am I doing? Recording. Huh?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, school. I was just testing if you can respond well to me. Okay. Our guests are not here yet, so we are waiting. You can test your patience today, okay? Relax, okay? या अंदर आ गया हो माड़ा जिहा अपने ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਗੇ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਜਿਮ ਦੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੌਰੀ ਮੇਨ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਡੋਰ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਨਿਕਲਿਆ ਉਦੋਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਦੇਣ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਥੇ Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, our guests are here now. Please wait. They are on their way from the main building to the gym door, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, don't look. Please rise to welcome the Lieutenant Governor of BC, Her Honor Judith Gushon, and honorable guests. Please join with me to sing our national anthem, O Canada. Thank you, everyone. Please take your seats. Thank you, grade 5-2 and Mr. Diallo. Grade 5-2, you can go back to your seats now. I would like to request Dr. George Perry, our school principal, to come up on the podium and welcome Her Honor and the special guest today.
Thank you, Mr. JD. Honored guests, students, ladies and gentlemen, we're delighted to have everybody here today. We're especially delighted to welcome Her Honor, Lieutenant Governor Judith Gushon to our school. It is truly, we're excited about your presence here today. The other members of the platform party, we have our member of the Legislative Assembly, Simon Gibson, here. Mr. Gibson unfortunately has to leave partway through the ceremony. He asked me to please express his regrets to you, but he has another pressing commitment. We're delighted that he's joined us even for a few minutes here today. Mr. Brar doesn't need much introduction. Mr. Brar has been one of the real major forces in building and sustaining this school over the years, and we would not be here today if it weren't for the work of Mr. Brar and the other board members. And finally, of course, the lady who is your elected leader in this school, Miss Abhijit Gill. Abby, welcome. Delighted you're here. I get a chance to introduce Her Honor, and I must tell you that her background is that of a rancher. Now, isn't that exciting? How many of you live on farms? Look at that. You see, Your Honor, You're among friends here. That's perfect. Now, of course, on ranches, they have animals. And in case of Her Honor, it's cattle, big operation. So that is her background. But boys and girls, what really excites me about Her Honor is that she can do things I can't do. Number one, she can ride a horse. Wow. And number two, she can fly a plane. Wow. I can't do those things. Now, I've been told, and by the way, Councillor Sandy Blue sends her regards. I had a conversation with her last week, and she said, you know, the Lieutenant Governor learned to fly at Abbotsford Airport. Perfect. So that's a wonderful background to have as we introduce this lady to you. Now, I've done some research on the Lieutenant Governor, and I don't want to bore you with all the statistics, but she's lived in the Nicola Valley for over 40 years. That's her home. Her background is ranching. And for the young ladies here today, the Lieutenant Governor's a role model because she has been very successful in a field that is dominated by men. She was the president of the BC Cattle Men's Association. Can you believe that? She was liberated long before it was popular. Good for you. Your Honor, we're delighted to welcome you here today. A very famous British poet named Rudyard Kipling wrote a powerful poem. It was called If. I-F, if. And let me quote from Kipling. Now, Kipling was a Nobel laureate. He won a Nobel Prize in literature. And this is what he said. And he might have written this about our Lieutenant Governor, because he said, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch. So here we have a lady representing the Queen, and she comes to visit us. That makes us feel very special. So I'm delighted to welcome to the microphone, to the podium, Her Honor, Judith Guichon.
Wow. I think that's the best introduction I've ever experienced. Thank you so much, sir. So, distinguished platform guests, Mr. George Perry, principal, and our distinguished guests, including Abby, the representative of you students, teachers, staff, visiting parents perhaps, visitors. Thank you so much for welcoming me to your school, Dashmash Punjabi School, for welcoming me to your community. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to tell you a little bit about my role, what I do as Lieutenant Governor, and to learn more about your community. I'd like to begin by acknowledging with respect the very long history, the wisdom, and the culture of the Matsqui and Sumas bands of the Stolo First Nations, on whose traditional territory we're privileged to gather for this assembly. 2017 is a very special year. We're celebrating our sesquicentennial. Can you say it? Can you spell it? Good. Sesquicentennial. Sesquicentennial, just like it sounds. By the end of the year, we'll all be able to spell it, right? Sesquicentennial, a great word. 150 years of growing and building this country. The Fathers of Confederation first met in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. Some of you children, have you studied about Charlottetown and Prince Edward Island? Out on the extreme east coast, the Atlantic coast of Canada. We're on the Pacific Coast out here on the West Coast, and Charlottetown way on the East Coast. So actually it was 153 years ago when the Fathers of Confederation started to meet and to talk about forming a Dominion of Canada, a nation. And it took a bit of time and a lot of paper. There was no internet, no emails, so they talked a lot. They met in Charlottetown, then they went across the river to Quebec City, now the capital of the province of Quebec. Then it was just Quebec City in Canada. It took a lot of talking, but we finally grew gradually across the Great Lakes, the vast prairies, and over the Rocky Mountains, till we became this nation from sea to sea to sea. A nation, I like to say, formed mainly by conversation, not confrontation. For you younger children, confrontation is just a big word for fighting. When we confront, we're aggressive, confront one another, rather than conversing, talking. So Canada is a nation, we're known mainly, we talk a lot, which is a good thing. So we're connected by many things in Canada. We're connected by our history. We're connected by the railroad. In fact, British Columbia did not join Confederation and become part of Canada until an agreement was made to build the railroad through the Rocky Mountains and connect us to the rest of Canada with our railroad. We're connected by our national anthem, and I was really pleased to hear our national anthems, the bilingual version of our national anthem being sung. That's wonderful. I think that's a great sesquicentennial project. I think every student in Canada should be learning the bilingual version of O Canada. I grew up in Montreal, Quebec. Alors, je suis née à Montréal et je peux parler un peu de français, pas beaucoup, mais un peu. But it's great when we learned the version of O Canada. We're also joined by, our beautiful flag, our beautiful red maple leaf, way up there. Do you children know how old our flag is? Yes. No, actually our flag is younger than me, so it's not quite 150 years. Yes. No, I'm not 149 either. It's younger than me. Yes, sir. 85? Huh. I'm going to have to talk to some of these kids. No. Yes, sir. Hey, there's a guy I like. You're quite almost perfect. It's actually, yes, 55. Close enough. It's 52 years old. February the 15th, our flag celebrated its 52nd anniversary. We had a celebration at Government House, and we brought 150 grade 5 students, and we made 150 on the floor and took a great picture from above to celebrate our flag. Some of us are old enough, we remember the great flag debate. It actually went on for about 20 years. Our Olympians are on the world stage when we see that beautiful red maple leaf. We're very proud. Canada is also, we're known as peacemakers. So in many countries of the world, our men and women in uniform, our Army and Navy and Air Force, our RCMP members, our other police forces serve in communities around the world during elections or as peacekeepers to try and keep peace. And that's a good thing. We're known around the world as peacekeepers. Our national anthem, I alluded to how well you children sang the bilingual version. Our national anthem was actually first performed in Quebec City in French and translated into English in 1880. That's a long time ago. But it wasn't adopted as our national anthem. The act was passed in 1980. So we take a while in Canada to decide these things. So we're also known for our hockey. Do any of you children like hockey? You bet. We're known for our hockey and for Tim Hortons. These are all the common threads that weave the fabric, the glue that holds us together as a nation. Canada has some black marks in our history. We've made some grave errors. But because we develop slowly, it allows us to learn and be aware of the injustice that we have been part of. And it allows us to grow. The landmass of Canada isn't growing, but we're growing in understanding, in inclusiveness, in diversity, and we're growing in spirit. So not only are we celebrating our sesquicentennial, but this is a year of reconciliation all across Canada. So the Fathers of Confederation chose to develop this nation as a constitutional monarchy, in which the Crown stands for the principles of peace, order, and good government. And so in our form of government, we have two people. The head of state and the head of government are two separate people. In some places south of us, that's not the case. It's only one person, but we have two people. And so in British Columbia, as the Lieutenant Governor, I'm the head of state, but the head of government is our Premier, our elected Premier, Christy Clark, is the head of government. So this model, the constitutional monarchy, provides a strong foundation from which our democracy can evolve and flourish. I like to say that the Fathers of Confederation are a little bit like the three little pigs. Do you children know the story of the three little pigs? Aha, I thought maybe. So the first little pig, what did he build his house of? And how well did that work? And the second little pig, what did he build? Did that work any better? But the third little pig, he took the time, and what did he build his house of? Exactly, because he wanted it to be strong and to stand up to the test of time and to the big bad wolf. But the Fathers of Confederation, that's what they wanted. They wanted a solid foundation for our democracy that would stand up to the test of time and the winds of fate. So how many of you had ever heard of the Lieutenant Governor before yesterday or today? Oh, good. Before last week? Oh, that's great. And so I'm the 29th Lieutenant Governor. Does anybody in this community know who the 28th Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia was? Aha. Any of the taller people? Any taller people know who the 28th Lieutenant Governor was? Thank you, sir. Stephen L. Point, the first First Nations Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, and he's right from this area, from Chilliwack. And before that, we had another first. Ladies, another first. Her Honor Iona Campanola, the first woman to be Lieutenant Governor. So I guess I'm the first cowboy to be Lieutenant Governor. So now, in every province, we have a Lieutenant Governor. We have 3 territories. In our territories, we have commissioners. And then in Ottawa, we have somebody who serves Her Majesty. Can anybody tell me what is the position? Yes, sir. Sorry? No, the Prime Minister is the elected head of government, but there's a head of state, an appointed. Yes. Well done. A hand for this young lady. A right answer. You bet. His Excellency David Johnson is the Governor General of Canada. He's represented Her Majesty for over 6 years. Wonderful gentleman, great hockey player, principal of McGill University at one time, and he's done a wonderful job of being our Governor General. So what is it I do on behalf of Her Majesty? Well, every Lieutenant Governor and the Governor General in Ottawa has similar roles. I represent the Crown as Chief Executive Officer during state and ceremonial events. So that'll be often it'll be an event with the Army or with the Navy. I attend events with the Admiral of the Navy. And I represent Her Majesty at appropriate First Nations events and ceremonies. And then I have a constitutional role. So have any of you children and students been to Victoria? Oh, wonderful. Lots of you. Excellent. And how many of you went to the legislature? Good. Good. Sir, you've been to the legislature? Oh, very good. And how many has anybody visited Government House? Excellent. Wonderful. And we're very fortunate in British Columbia because we have a very beautiful Government House, and it's on a very beautiful property. We have 36 acres, that's about 15 hectares, a beautiful garden. We have a tea house, we have a costume museum, we had chickens and a sheep for a while, a little lamb. But you know how we maintain these beautiful gardens and our Government House, our tour guides? We maintain all that with 450 wonderful volunteers, 18,000 hours a year of volunteerism. Do some of you students volunteer? Good. Excellent. That's so important because that's how we maintain healthy, vibrant communities with all our volunteers. So when you come to Victoria, as well as visiting the legislature, come by and walk in our beautiful garden. So I have a role in the legislature. It's my job, it's the job of our vice-regal representatives to make sure there is always a government in place. I kind of say I'm a bit like the watchdog, and I'm watching our elected officials, sir. I'm watching you to make sure that nothing goes awry. I appoint and administer the oath of office, allegiance, and confidentiality to the Premier and members of the Executive Council, in other words, Cabinet. I summon, prorogue, and dissolve the legislature. So on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, I went into the House in the morning and prorogued. We ended the last session. In the afternoon, I went back in and we commenced the 6th session of the 40th Parliament of British Columbia. So when you get older, some of you older students, when you'll be reaching the age of majority, and you'll vote. It's your responsibility to vote. And you'll elect somebody to represent you locally. I understand you have an ex-mayor here, so in your municipality, you'll elect council and mayor. You'll elect somebody to go to Victoria to represent you, and you'll elect somebody to go to Ottawa to represent you. But that's not the end of your responsibility, because in a democracy is not an armchair sport. You have to stay engaged. When you become old enough to vote, you stay engaged with your representative. You consult, you advise, and that's how we keep a healthy, vibrant democracy. So you'll vote when you get older. You'll elect the majority of who win the election, sit on the right in the House. That's the government. Those that come in second, that's the minority. They sit on the left. They're the official opposition. Right now in British Columbia, we have 2 independents and 1 Green member sitting on the left as well. So after the new session begins, the government writes the speech from the throne, and that's the plan of what they intend to do during that session. And I go in and read the speech from the throne. I also have another duty, which is to provide royal assent. So the members in the legislature present bills, and they work in committee and study, and they debate the bills in the House, and then they vote. And if the majority votes to pass the bill, then it will become the law. But before it's officially part of the body of law, I go into the House, and this is a tough part of my job. It's very tough, this part, is it not, sir? Giving royal assent. I want you to watch carefully. Are you watching? So I go in and I sit, Madam Speaker vacates the throne, and I sit on the throne, and the clerk reads off all the bills, all the legislation that's been debated and voted upon and passed. And I go, did you get that? Tough job. I give royal assent, the nod, and then it becomes part of the law of the land. Before that, it's debated and voted upon, but then it gets royal assent, it becomes part of the law of the land. So that's my constitutional roles. I also have a role, we have many visitors, important visitors, heads of state and ambassadors, consul generals from other nations in the world. They come to British Columbia, and my job is, we often entertain them at Government House, and I get to tell them about British Columbia, about the communities here, what we produce here, about the wonderful people that live here, the talents and the arts, and to explain British Columbia to foreign visitors. And then perhaps the best part of my job is that I get to hand out decorations, awards, medals. So in every community, we were talking about volunteers. We have wonderful people in all our communities who are forever involved in whether it's food banks or hospice or so many different services that are provided by volunteers in our communities. And they're sometimes nominated by people in their communities and receive awards or recognition for their volunteerism. Or it may be people in uniform, our armed forces, our Canadian Army, our Navy, our Air Force, our RCMP or other police services, firefighters, first responders. I also they may go get an award, a medal for bravery, for going above and beyond the call of duty, and I have the honor often of awarding those medals. So those are the official jobs. And speaking of volunteers, this handsome gentleman with me today, dressed in his very fine uniform, he's a volunteer. He's an honorary aide-de-camp, one of 35 to 40 throughout the province. Wherever I go, I am accompanied by men and women in uniform, and they may be in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, RCMP, St. John Ambulance, conservation officers, sheriffs, but there's always somebody with me making my events and my job so much easier. But they all do this over and above their regular job. They're all volunteers. We are so fortunate in Canada. So as well as those 4 jobs that every lieutenant governor does, we all have priority programs. I have 3 priority programs. My first one's called Right to Read, and I inherited or took this on after my predecessor, His Honor Stephen Point. He and one of our aides-de-camp, honorary aides-de-camp, who was Rotarian, started a library program. It's a wonderful partnership now, Rotary International, Government House Foundation, Britco Trailer, London Drugs, and we have opened 10 libraries in remote First Nations communities. We've got 2 more about to be opened and others on the drawing boards. So that's Right to Read. Another of my programs is called Sing Me a Song, and I started this with 2017 in mind. I want you young people to create a new song about what it means to be Canadian in 2017. There's 3 categories, 11 and under, so first graders, and 18 to 11, and all the rest of us who are over 18. And there's a $1,000 prize for each category to be put towards a music program. And so the deadline is March 31st, not too much time left, so get a group together, brainstorm, and create a new song about what it means to be Canadian. Sing me a song. You can go online and enter with your iPad, your iPhone. My last program is called Stewards of the Future, and it's geared toward about grade 10, the older students. And it's designed to get you young people out of the classroom, to go out on the land and to investigate anything within your community that affects land and water. All the subjects that you, as our future leaders, will contend with. So forestry, fisheries, agriculture, aquaculture, mining, jobs, energy, transportation. These are all issues that you future leaders will have to be aware of and contend with. So I want you to go, if there's something in your area that concerns you, a landfill, a farm, a sawmill, go and learn about it. Don't just accept what you hear. Go and make an appointment, meet the people, and ask questions and become informed. And then I want you to go and meet with your elected officials, whether it's your band council or your city council. Meet with them and ask questions. We bring 100 of these stewards of the future to a conference every June, first week of June usually. First year we were in Lester B. Pearson Schools. Last year we were up at UNBC in Prince George. This year we'll be on the Sunshine Coast. And we bring in mentors and speakers. The first year we brought Dr. Robert Thirsk, the astronaut, J.B. McKinnon, who wrote Once and Future World and the 100-Mile Diet. We bring in politicians, captains of business. We bring in leaders of all types to engage with and, excuse me, meet with these young leaders. Again, you can go online and learn about this program and enter online. We have a little bit of money, excuse me, to help with the program. All of my programs are based on what I call my 3 R's. I was granted a coat of arms, and on the bottom I have my motto, my 3 R's. Do you have 3 R's at your school? When I went to school, we thought that reading, writing, and arithmetic started with R. We weren't very smart. When my children were at school, it was reduce, reuse, and recycle. Excellent 3 R's. Excuse me. My 3 R's are respect, relationship, and responsibility, because I believe that we must all have respectful relationships with one another and with the land that supports us. And I believe that we all have a responsibility to leave our school, our community, our province, and our nation good or better for those who follow behind. I think that's how we build healthy communities with healthy people on healthy land. I just want to tell you one more detail. February the 2nd was a special day. Who can tell me what February 2nd was? Yes. Groundhog Day, exactly. So I went online and I learned it was not only Groundhog Day, it was World Wetlands Day. And I also we're the only nation in the world with a wetland engineer as our national animal. What's our national animal? Yes. Yes. Anyone? First, a beaver, absolutely. The beaver, a wetland engineer. But what I learned was that wetlands only cover 3% of the globe. Peatlands, peat bogs, muskeg, wetlands. But that 3% of wetlands, we're always worried we need to clean up our air, and we know that trees and grasslands store carbon. But that wetland stores more carbon than all of the Earth's forests. So that was news to me, and I learned that on Groundhog Day. I only want to close with one this is another important little book that I recommend to all of your senior students. It's called The Climate Nexus, and it's written by 2 British Columbians, Dr. John O'Riordan and Robert Sanford. They were at our Stewards of the Future. And they say, for humanity to come to terms with how to live, we must learn to live energetically but sustainably at the nexus of the Earth's available water, arable land, without further altering the composition of the atmosphere. I love this, that we have to learn to live energetically but sustainably. So that's going to be the challenge for you future young leaders. That's what I wanted to talk to you about today, and now I think we have time for questions.
Students, if you have a question, you can hold microphone and pose your question.
Hello. So our first question is, to the best of my knowledge, the Lieutenant Governor must give royal assent to bills that have been passed. You can either sign the bill into law or resign. What sort of law would you refuse to give royal assent to? For example, would you resign instead of giving royal assent to Donald Trump's Muslim ban?
Great thought-provoking question. Thank you. First of all, I don't think we'd ever have anybody in this nation present a law such as that ban. I don't think it would get first reading, let alone, I just don't think it would happen. Your experience as mayor and at any level of governance, it's just not in our nature. As I say, we're known the world over as peacekeepers. We're known for our inclusivity and for welcoming new Canadians. So many of us are immigrants. And so I just can't conceive of it ever in this nation, us having that sort of a law get to the stage where I would be faced with having to sign it. And I do have a body, all lieutenant governors have a lot of constitutional expertise, lawyers that are great experts that we can consult if there is some question that comes before us. And so I would have to consult with them, and I would take their advice very seriously. But I just can't imagine. I've tried very hard. To my way of thinking, there might be a land issue in Canada that could come, but I don't think ever it would be one to single out any nationality or religion or creed, and so I don't think that'll ever be my problem, thank heavens. Thank you. Great question, though.
So, Your Honor, according to the government of BC's website, and also as you mentioned earlier, you have 4 important roles: the vice-regal, constitutional, celebratory, and promotional. Which of these do you think is most important, and which job do you enjoy doing the best?
Well, I think the most important might be the constitutional, and I often say that I'm a bit like the fire alarm on the wall over there. It's bright red, we all see it, the fire extinguisher, and we know it's there. I wear a pin, all of the vice-regal family wear these pins, so we're there and people know we're there, but you hope you never have to use them. You hope that a century goes by and nobody ever has to pull that alarm. And that's our role, in case something goes very, very wrong. But you hope that that never, ever happens for centuries. As to my favorite of those roles, I think handing out awards and recognition and medals for bravery, meeting the incredibly exceptional people all over this province, I think that's been the best part of my job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What role does the Lieutenant Governor play when it comes to First Nations' relationship with the government? We've seen official apologies from prime ministers and premiers regarding various historical injustices. What role does the Lieutenant Governor play in truth and reconciliation?
Another great question. And we actually have a committee. We're spread out across Canada, and we have one annual meeting. But His Excellency appointed some committees. Myself and the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario were asked to head a committee on reconciliation, actually. And I think this is why I'm so excited about 2017 being a great opportunity. And Sean Atleo said, I was where he spoke one time at a university, and he said, Canadians must own their own history. And I think it's part of our role as Lieutenant Governor to help education. It has to happen in every school. It's been adopted as the official curriculum in British Columbia at the elementary school level. 2 schools I went to yesterday had extensive drumming programs. and the children and the music teacher sang in the First Nations, the local First Nations language. I think we're seeing tremendous opening up of the conversation, and I think that's part of the opportunity of our sesquicentennial. I was very honored to be on a stage with Carrie Newman, a wonderful British Columbia First Nations artist who has created the witness blanket. It's a huge piece of work, 9 feet long and 6 feet tall, absolutely incredible. He collected from every First Nations, from all of the residential school. He went around and he collected some piece to put into this work of art, to remind us, to educate us. It's just an excellent piece of art to open up the discussion, to educate the non-native population. And so I think that many wonderful things are happening, and we as Lieutenant Governors, it's our role to facilitate and to help the discussion take place. And we also will be awarding, as Lieutenant Governors, we'll be working with the Governor General to award some awards for reconciliation. On National Aboriginal Day, 21st of June, we'll be awarding right across Canada 150 medals for reconciliation.
Thank you. The role of the Lieutenant Governor has changed considerably over the past 200 years, from ruling to representing. What do you think are the most significant recent changes?
Sorry, most important recent changes?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my memory for 150 years isn't too great, but I think 1982, when Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau, he repatriated the Constitution. I think that was a very important step. I think it's allowed, we in Canada have more effect or ability to affect changes, if there are to be changes in our Constitution. I think that was a very important step in allowing that to happen. So I would say that would be my answer for that. The most important change, 1982, the repatriation of the Constitution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. No more questions, Your Honor.
Okay. I have brought some, I presume you have a library, I'm sure. And yes, I brought some books for your library to remember our visit. And there's an excellent one here for anybody who has any more questions about our constitutional monarchy. This Crown of Maple, if you're doing a project, it's a wonderful book on, and Jean Barman's book, Spirit of the People, is a wonderful book of the history of British Columbia. So these are some books for your library to remember, and thank you so much for being such a respectful, quiet audience. This is wonderful. There's a lot of students here, and I am so impressed. I was so impressed with your singing about Canada, and I'm so impressed with your respectful listening. Thank you so much.
Your Honor, if we may, would you please sign our guest book? It wasn't on the program, and we thought of it late, but we would like to record this for future generations of DASMESH students to realize that we entertained you here today, and we're honored by your visit. So.
I put my title because people won't remember in 10 years who I was.
We will.
spelled that right or not? I'm a terrible speller. Thank you. Thank you. I'm good.
And now, Your Honor, prepare to be entertained.
Oh, thank you. Beautiful. Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor, and Principal George. Now is the time for our students to perform. I would like to request Mrs. Black to bring her grade 1 students first.
Yes.
Grade 1.
Decoration, yeah. Big student body.
Grade 1 students, you ready?
Eyes up here. Okay, ready?
Thank you, grade 1. Please give them a big round of applause. Now I would like to request Mrs. Sidhu to bring her kindergartens here today.
I'm not a girl, but not a boy. I'm plastic dream, I'm battle toy. I'll never die, will never die. Forever young, forever number one. Here I am, my life belongs to corporations. Open space and stars could be my decorations, yeah. I'm Mickey Mouse. Click on me and you can see I'm not expensive. I want you, I hope you want me to, so be my guest. I'm Mickey Mouse. Look at me, so exciting, shining
Thank you, kindergartens. Very well performed. Thank you, Mrs. Sidhu. And now we have grade 3 boys performing Bhangra. Yeah.
That's where they get in trouble when they can't see.
ਤੁਰੇ ਨਾ ਲੰਮਿਆਂ ਰੂਟਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਮੱਖਣਾ ਦਿਲ ਜੱਟੀ ਦਾ ਵੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਬਾਝੋਂ ਸਖਣਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਸੌਂਕਣ ਟਰਾਲਾ ਤੇਰਾ ਮੁੰਡਿਆ ਸੌਂਕਣ ਟਰਾਲਾ ਤੇਰਾ ਮੁੰਡਿਆ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਚੇਤੇ ਜੋ ਬੁਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਹੁਸਨਾ ਦੀ ਪਰੀ ਦੇ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀ ਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀ ਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀ ਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਅੰਨ ਪਾਣੀ ਲੰਘਦਾ ਨਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਗਲ ਚੋਂ ਸੜਕਾਂ ਤੇ ਅੱਖ ਤੇਰੀ ਖੜੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਐ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਆ ਕੇ ਹਾਲ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੁੱਛਦਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਤੇ ਖਮਾਰੀ ਕੀਦੀ ਚੜੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਐ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਆ ਕੇ ਹਾਲ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੁੱਛਦਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਤੇ ਖਮਾਰੀ ਕੀਦੀ ਚੜੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਐ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਖੁੱਲ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿ ਨਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਰੰਗ ਉੱਡਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਗੁੱਸੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਡਰੀਦੇ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀ ਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀ ਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀ ਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ
Desi Roots.
ਉਹ ਕੰਧਾਂ ਵੱਲ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਜਵਾਨੀ ਕੱਢਦੀ ਟਿੱਕਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਦਾ ਵੀ ਚਿੱਤ ਨਾ ਕਰੇ ਆਂਡਣਾ ਗਵਾਂਡਣਾ ਸਲਾਹ ਦਿੰਦੀਆਂ ਚੰਦਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਰਹਿਣ ਲੱਗ ਜਾ ਪਰੇ ਆਂਡਣਾ ਗਵਾਂਡਣਾ ਸਲਾਹ ਦਿੰਦੀਆਂ ਚੰਦਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਰਹਿਣ ਲੱਗ ਜਾ ਪਰੇ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਭੁੱਲ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਜੱਟਾ ਪੱਕਿਆ ਅਸੂਲ ਤੇਰੀ ਨਾਰ ਖਰੀਦੇ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀ ਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀ ਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਕਦਰ ਕਰੀ ਦੀ ਨਖਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀਦੇ
Thank you to all performers and Mrs. Sidhu and Mrs. Black. Very well done. Can we give a big round of applause to all the performers, please? Thank you. Now we have seen our youngest class performing. Now we would like to invite our graduating class, grade 12, to come up here. And please rise all so we can join for God Save the Queen. To sing God Save the Queen. Please stand up. Grade 12. Okay, we have to look that way. Thank you, everyone. Please remain standing while our honorable guests depart from this official place. They will be still here, and our primary students and grade 12 students, they will be walking in front of our honorable guests, and rest of the students will leave from your designated areas. So I would like to request homeroom teachers, kindergarten first, primary students, you will go in single file. And may I ask grade 4 and grade 7 to leave from the side doors. As quietly as possible. Grade 11 from the side doors.
Hi, how are you? That's great. Hi, how are you doing? Thank you for sitting so patiently and quietly. It was a long sit on the floor, wasn't it? Wonderful job. Thank you. Thank you so much for your respectful listening. Hi, how are you? Hi. Thank you so much. Great listening, guys. This one? That's it.
Hey, what happened to your smile?
Big smile. Good afternoon. Thanks for being a great audience. Oh, what happened? Oh, dear.
Chasing the boys.
Uh-huh. Good afternoon. Thanks for being a very respectful audience. Thanks for great listening. Hi, how are you doing?
Different anyway, one of the routines.
Good afternoon. Hi. Thanks so much for listening so respectfully. Can I take that one? There we are. Hi. Thank you so much for sitting so patiently.
Your Honor, ready to confirm
Here come the big
graduating class.
Here come the big ones.
Oh, graduating. Where to after this?
I don't know.
You don't know yet? Oh. How about you? Do you know where you're going next? A teacher? Well, that's a great goal. Thank you. Hi. How about you? Do you know where you're going after this next step?
Probably SFU.
SFU? Great school. Hi, how are you? Good. Great. How about you? You got plans? Okay. Good school too. Hi, how are you? Great. Do you know where you're going on to?
I'm studying kinesiology.
Oh, wonderful. I know a bit about it. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you. Thank you for being a great audience and great questions. And
Nice to meet you, Your Honor.
good afternoon. Thanks very much for being a very respectful
For
audience.
speaking on behalf of us. Thank you.
Hi. So Falcons, do you play on one of the teams?
Yeah, we used to play basketball. So we just finished.
Okay. Oh, good luck. That's great. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Just great, thank you. Thanks for being a great audience. Hi. So do you know where you're going after this year?
Yeah, UFE.
Okay, great. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Where are you going next?
UFE.
And
For
what?
science.
Sciences? Great. Farming, they do a lot of agriculture there. Good morning, good afternoon.
How are you?
Great. What's your goal next?
Well, Bachelor of Science at UBC.
At UBC?
Yeah.
Can't go wrong. Great.
Thank you.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
And what's your goal after this year?
Do business administration.
Wonderful. Hi.
Hi.
How are you? Thanks for being a great audience.
Yep, no problem.
Hi. How are you doing?
Good, you?
Great. So do you know where you're going after
I think I'm going to do UBC after science.
science?
Yep.
Opens lots of doors.
Hi there.
Hi. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great. You
Oh, there's a
having
big farmer.
A farmer?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh. Berries or?
We do blueberries and raspberries, yeah.
And raspberries. Wonderful. Well, a noble profession.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good afternoon. How are you? Good. What's your goal after?
Do to UFE.
Okay. Okay. Well, good luck. That opens lots of doors too. Hi, how are you? Good. What's your next?
Engineering.
Oh, where are you taking that?
BCIT.
BCIT? Another excellent school. Good luck.
Nice to meet you.
Hi. How are you doing?
Good.
So, where to for you?
Business, UFE.
Good. Great. Good luck.
Thanks.
Hi. How are you? Good. You got a goal for after this year? What's on?
Engineering.
Engineering?
EFE.
Good luck. Great.
Guess what sport he plays?
You've earned it.
Thank you. Wonderful. Is that what you're going to go on with after? Okay.
I think I'm going to engineering for now.
Okay.
BCIT or UBC.
Okay.
And then working with
Well, I've got a brother who's an engineer, so I'll forgive you. Very good career.
Your Honor, Jasper Value. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you, sir, and thank you for emceeing. And
My pleasure.
they were wonderful, wonderful student body. Thank you. It was an honor to be here. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful student body.
Can I have a picture
Not
taken?
at all.
Do you have a picture taken with your
Oh.
Actually, Terry, do you want to get on the other side?
Or can we have Mr. JD,
No, no,
Mr.
get
Mr.
it.
Perry, Mr.
We want the lady.
Squeeze
Come on.
up.
No, come on, she respects you greatly.
Well, I got enough.
We got enough cameras.
Fall over.
person. Thank
Can I have one too?
Thank you. It was, they were wonderful.
Very
Sir,
inspiring.
they did you very proud.
Listen, it's a pleasure.
Can I have a great
Thank you
conversation?
for coming.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
We're honored.
What are you talking about the school?
See, you're doing all the hard
Yeah, you've been working the whole time.
I will do the
And
honor.
she even
I
uses,
will do the honor.
yes, you bet.
Okay, everybody
You
get
bet.
it. Let's go.
She
All the
even uses a
ICT,
real camera.
IT crew, everybody, all the boys, let's go. Quickly. Justin, Sahil, Avi.
Yep.
We have please request Mr. Dunford as well. Everybody from the IT. Roger, please quickly hurry up.
High tech team.
We're gonna give everybody all the tech. We're nothing without you guys. Okay.
Just give me 1 second. Okay, you're hiding there, so we need to get you over here.
She wants you in the front of the picture.
We're taking all the IT because
You
we're
can't see
nothing
me,
without
we can't see you. So,
all the keys.
back up a little, careful. Okay, make sure your face is out. You're gonna have to move to your left a little. That's good. Front. I think we're good.
This is the geek squad.
Thank you, Eva.
Oh, thank you. It was a wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much. Thank you for the work you're doing. Leadership. Absolutely.